Today we have a case that comes right out of the pretend heroes category in this topsy-turvy world where the good guys are actually the bad guys and the bad guys are actually the good guys. It's very difficult to figure out which way to actually turn and what to believe. I have some sympathy for the general public and a little less, but still some for the troll community when they're really trying to express their anger and their frustration, their rage at all the harm that appears to be going to children. And I want to remind them and all of you that number one, in my estimation, we don't know the degree to which I don't think anybody says that they know for certain the exact degree to which children are being exploited. How could you, when you have a situation like this where you have fake heroes who pretend to be protecting children but actually exploit children? Where you have people who are actually innocent, who are not looking for children, who are entrapped and induced and enticed into situations not of their own making by police who claim that they're sitting there watching, but in reality are working very, very hard to manipulate people. And when they can't do that, even manipulating evidence. And again, this is not the rule, but it's enough of a rule. It's enough of a practice that we need to look at it and see how it impacts real child exploitation numbers. Because it's certainly true that innocent people are being scooped up in these. I'm one of them. That's one of the reasons I made this channel to let you know that it is not as clear as you think. And then on top of that, we have this article that I'm about to show you, which really doesn't tell you that many details. What is clear is that you should not judge until you have all the information. And we don't know the degree to which children are being exploited. We do know that they're being exploited in areas, and the police do catch them sometimes, catch the perpetrators. There are other times where they're being exploited and they're not being caught. And sadly, even other areas where the police have simply made I hate to say it this way, but a business decision that they would rather get the money that ICAC will get, will advance to them by bumping up the stats. And even if they have to ignore a costly, expensive investigation on a real child where there's a not so certain uh, likelihood that they'll get a conviction. And don't think that people, DAs running for office, aren't motivated by stats. And if they're vulnerable to appearing to be at all soft on so-called sex offenders, that looks bad for them. But if they can show all these stats, that looks very, very good for them. So let's go back to the fact that we do know also that the people with badges, the people who are the self-styled vigilantes, the people like Ghost CC Unit, who is all over the internet doing these violent and cowardly things. I encountered him. I'm not a big guy, and he sure shrank from me when I went after him. Of course, that's not in his heavily edited video. And you have Rue Powell, who claims that she's protecting young girls by pretending to be a girl, using her slight petite form to pretend like she's younger than she actually is, and many others. And, before I show you this video of somebody else in that same vein, it just makes me wonder why it is they're not actually engaged, as I was, as many other people are, all over the country, from soccer moms to scout masters to Girl Scout moms on the corner with the cookie sales and all the things that good people do. Why they aren't busy doing that? Always involved in some scheme that puts a little dough in their pocket, that makes them look good, or that somehow gives them enough public cred and enough of a following so that they can fill that hole in their heart for significance, apparently. So let's look at one of these fake victims. And I think that in this particular case, we have I'm gonna find it now. I thought I had it here. In one of these fake cases, we've got to see exactly they are in fact, gotta go over and here it is. They are in fact predators themselves. And how they came to this, I have no idea. They it's important to assume that everybody is innocent until proven guilty. But even there, I can tell you that you can be proven guilty and still be quite innocent. But this is an example of a story that went all the way out to Chicago here, even though it originated in Buffalo, New York. Vice President of Bikers Against Child Abuse chapter in Buffalo, New York, charged with sex crimes against children. I focus on that crimes area because it appears to be crime. There appears to be one child, and apparently this person was found to be in possession of child pornography by ICAC, and we've already talked about their questionable investigatory methods. So again, giving this guy the benefit of the doubt and being critically assessing this article, it is important to understand that we don't know what actually happened. According to this, he was disseminating child pornography. This gentleman's name is John Todaro. He's just under 50 years of age. Apparently had some opportunity to be around children. If I remember correctly, this organization does events with children and for children. They do tutoring and mentoring. Various chapters do. So that's probably what they're referring to, but they don't explain it. Here's a picture of the gentleman. He was charged with promoting a sexual performance by a child. Promoting sounds to me like he was trying to sell a video or something like that, or promoting the services of some child through a video, and then possessing the actual video. So you have charge of distribution and possession, not sex crimes, it sounds like. Todaro was released on his own recognizance. That's kind of interesting because we do know that if you are a certain type of person and that you are wealthy or well connected, or you're considered to be one of these wonderful pillars of the community, and all of a sudden you make one little slip up, well, we can consider letting you go. People don't realize that when courts go and evaluate whether to release somebody or not, they look at several factors. One of them is, do they have connections to the community? Do they own property? Do they have family? Do they live and work in the community? Another factor is, do they have, how long have they lived in the community? Do they live near children? Have they had a prior conviction? These are all the sorts of things that come into play. But also, the subtext of that is, do they have property? Are they good people? Are they white? Are they, do they make a lot of money? Okay. These sorts of things are the subtext of it, because if that's the case, they tend to be off or have lower bonds than other people from time to time. That is my assessment. I don't claim that I've studied the issue deeply, but I think that it wouldn't take much to make that point. Um, Released on his own recognizance, and that's all it says. They reached out to Bikers Against Child Abuse to get some insight into it. So, again, we shouldn't judge. We should look at it critically. But it is very, very interesting when we hear from the trolls and the general public who are always looking for the person in the bushes. Okay. They're always looking for the perv. They're always looking for the person who pulls up in the white van and supposed to grab you. And even though those things do happen, very often that's not the major point at all. But that's the only one that the media and the public seems to focus on. Here's yet another case where somebody wasn't previously on the sex offender registry, wasn't on anybody's radar, didn't necessarily do anything with kids in the past. You have to give the man the benefit of the doubt. But yet here he is violating trust. And these are the same people, they're beating their chest. They're talking about how wonderful they are. They're out there engaging with the public for supposedly, ostensibly, for protecting children. But do they? It seems to me that, you could do like I did and like many other people do, the unsung heroes, the soccer moms, the dads that coach Little League, or the wrestling coaches, the people out there who, take food to shut-ins and do all these things, tutor kids for free when they're retired and they could be doing other things. These are the sorts of things that never get any traction because they never get any attention and they don't bring in money. And it'd be nice if the RuPauls of the world and the Ghost CC units and all the pretend heroes out there would get together and actually do something for children. When I hear them interviewed, I hear them give lip service to children, but I also hear them talk about how they enjoyed humiliating and embarrassing someone. So it's really hard to believe that it really is about protecting children. It's much more about how they look to their fans and the money that they can rake in through donations and other ways. So just to give you an idea, topsy-turvy world, lots of odd things. Good people look like they're bad, and bad people look like they're good. Get the facts, figure things out, check into it. Look at my videos on this channel. Look at Stinging Back, the new podcast on this site, featured on this site and elsewhere. Lady Justice blog. There are lots of people starting to speak out. Okay. Tammy L just put something out on TikTok. It's very, very important that you start understanding what's really happening because guess what? The real victims, innocent people, including innocent children, are at risk and they're not being protected like you think. This is Norman Michael Asian with ICAC Unpacked. Have a good day.